All right, let's just jump right into this. Think about a simple wooden bow for a second. Now, what if I told you that this basic piece of wood is actually the ancient world's most advanced mechanical battery? Sounds a little wild, right? But mechanically speaking, it is absolutely 100% true. Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're looking way past the traditional image of the bow as just a basic tool or weapon. Instead, we are going to decode it as a highly sophisticated energy-storing machine. We're going to explore the immense structural physics, the absolute engineering brilliance, and the sheer complexity of what happens when raw human muscle meets elastic potential. Now, before we really unlock the physics here, I need to throw out two quick but super important disclaimers. First up, this is an advanced scientific deep dive. We are definitely going to be throwing around some complex terminology today. Now, a simpler explanation on this exact topic was actually posted a few days ago, so absolutely check that out if you need a quick primer. Second, archery involves incredibly high physical tension on the human body. When you're engaging in this activity, always practice standard sports safety and injury prevention. We're dealing with massive amounts of stored energy, and that requires a lot of respect for both the equipment and your own biology. Safety first, always. So, here's our roadmap for today. We're focusing on the 5 main pillars of archery science. We've got 1. Elastic potential energy, 2. Hooke's law, 3. Mechanical advantage, 4. The incredible let-off effect, and 5. The mind-bending archer's paradox. Let's get to it. Section 1. The science of the draw. The bow as a 2-armed spring. Okay, to truly grasp this, you've got to totally change how you visualize a bow. Forget the whole stick and string idea. You need to start seeing it as a massive, giant, 2-armed spring. The shot cycle actually happens in 3 distinct phases. First up, the draw. As you pull back, your own muscular energy is literally pumped directly into the limbs and stored as elastic potential energy. Then you've got the hold. That's peak tension. You are locking all that volatile energy right in place. And finally, the release. The exact second you let go, boom. The system explosively decompresses, instantly transforming all that stored potential energy into pure kinetic energy. You know, this actually brings up one of the biggest public misconceptions out there. A lot of folks think a bow just works like a giant slingshot. No way, it absolutely does not. Think about a slingshot. The frame is totally static, right? The energy is stored because the elastic band itself is physically stretching. But with a bow, it's the exact opposite. The string, it doesn't stretch at all. It's totally static. Every single ounce of energy is stored in the flexing of the limbs. The string is merely the lever pulling those limbs inward. Section 2. Evolution of the bow. From primitive staves to machine cams. Understanding all this physics means looking back at how some pretty harsh physical limitations pushed humans into literally centuries of nonstop engineering breakthroughs. I mean, this tech has been evolving for a staggering amount of time. We're talking archaeological evidence of bone arrow points in South Africa dating back 61,000 years. 61,000. We went from primitive sticks and twine to the terrifying raw power of the 14th century English longbow, which was this massive weapon shooting heavy cloth-yard shafts. But the most radical leap in the physics, that happened way more recently. In 1966, a guy named Hollis Wilbur Allen totally revolutionized the archery world when he invented the compound bow, bringing incredibly complex pulley systems into the mix. And honestly, that 1966 invention was only possible because of huge leaps in material progression. See, traditional bows relied on natural wood and animal sinew. You needed these giant long limbs just to bend the thing without snapping it in half. But today, engineers are using highly advanced carbon fiber composites and precisely machined aluminum risers. This allows for these incredibly short, deeply stressed split limb configurations. And the kicker is, they waste significantly less energy just carrying their own weight. It's a massive, massive boost in efficiency. Section 3. Physics of potential energy. Bending the rules of mechanics. All right, to really wrap our heads around the terrifying mechanical forces happening inside those limbs when they're drawn back, we have to talk about Hooke's law. Basically, this is the scientific principle stating that the force you need to bend or deform an elastic object increases proportionally with the distance it's stretched. So, in plain English, the further back you pull the string on a traditional recurve or longbow, the exponentially harder it becomes to pull. You are literally fighting this linear, continuous, grinding increase in resistance with every single inch. Let's zoom in and look closely at what's happening right inside the material of the limb itself. It's this intense duality of forces. The belly of the bow, that's the side facing you, the archer, is undergoing severe compressive forces. The material is literally being crushed together. Meanwhile, the back of the bow, the outer curve, is experiencing intense tensile forces. It's violently being stretched apart. And guess what? That brutal internal battle between compression and tension is exactly what creates elastic potential energy. By deforming the bow limbs, you're packing your muscular effort into a highly volatile reserve of energy. Those limbs desperately want to return to their natural state. They are just begging for you to release the strings so they can aggressively snap back and unleash all of that raw power. Section 4. Compound bows and mechanical advantage. Solving the linear draw problem. So modern mechanics steps in to solve that massive physical problem we just talked about, the totally exhausting, grueling reality of Hooke's law and those linear draw weights. Just look at the difference in the draw force curves here. A recurve bow has a strictly linear curve. If you've got a 70-pound recurve, you have to hold back all 70 pounds of crushing weight with your own muscles, all while trying to keep your hand perfectly still to aim. Brutal, right? But check out a compound bow's curve. It peaks right in the middle and then drastically drops off right at full draw. You literally do the hardest work up front and then get rewarded at the end. But how exactly does it pull that off? Well, the secret sauce is eccentric cams. Now, these are not your standard perfectly round pulleys. Not at all. They are non-circular, oval-shaped devices acting as dynamically varying levers. The bowstring wraps around an outer track, while the internal cables wrap around a smaller inner track. As you draw the bow, these cams rotate, and that changes the ratio between those inner and outer radiuses. It is literally shifting the mechanical advantage right in the middle of your draw. Over the decades, engineers have actually cooked up 4 main types of these highly complex cam systems to optimize that kinetic conversion. First, you've got the twin cam, which uses 2 perfectly symmetric cams. Then there's the binary cam. This one smartly links the cams directly to each other instead of attaching them to the limbs. Next is the single cam, pairing one bottom working cam with a round idler wheel up top. And finally, the highly advanced hybrid cam, which syncs up 2 asymmetrical cams using a control cable. Each one of these alters the physics and the exact feel of the draw in slightly different ways. But honestly, the most absolutely crucial point of all this engineering really boils down to one simple number: 80. That is the standard percentage of let-off that modern cams achieve. Because it manipulates the mechanical advantage so well, an archer drawing a massive, heavy 70-pound bow only has to hold about 14 pounds of actual weight when they reach full draw. 14 pounds! That is a spectacular scientific achievement. It fundamentally changed the game by giving humans unprecedented time to aim without going into complete muscle failure. Section 5. Arrow flight and utility. Trajectory and oscillation. Now, generating all that power is really only half the battle. We need to shift our focus from the mechanical battery itself to the incredibly complex aerodynamic journey of the projectile. Enter the archer's paradox. See, when that string hits the arrow, it doesn't just neatly push it perfectly straight forward. Actually, the explosive force literally causes the arrow shaft to rapidly bend, oscillate, and fishtail super erratically around the riser of the bow. If you see it in slow motion, it looks completely chaotic. But because the arrow has precise flexibility, or what we call spine, combined with the spinning drag created by the fletching feathers, it miraculously stabilizes mid-air. Once it's finally stabilized, the arrow is immediately at the mercy of the laws of projectile motion. Gravity starts yanking it down the absolute second it leaves the string, which means it flies in a curved parabolic trajectory. To combat this, modern archers use a peep sight tied right into the string. You look through it to align with carefully calibrated sight pins on the riser. Basically, you are actually aiming the arrow in a slight upward arc to precisely counter that gravity and land exactly on your target. Section 6. Mechanical failures and limitations. When physics fails. All right, so when you push materials to their absolute physical limits to store all this massive energy, what happens when human error creeps in, or the physics simply break down? Well, severe structural failures can happen. For instance, limbs are designed to flex in one very specific direction. If you were to draw a traditional bow backwards, in reverse, the compressive and tensile forces invert, and the bow will literally explosively snap. There's also something called wood set. That's an irreversible problem, where a traditional wooden bow, if left strung out in the heat, permanently loses its shape and its energy capacity.
On modern bows, just twisting the grip the wrong way can cause cable derailment from extreme torque. And across all systems, you have to deal with intense, potentially damaging post-shot vibration.
And how we handle that leftover vibration energy is crucial. In a traditional bow, all that raw, unused oscillation energy forcefully transfers directly into the archer's arm as kinetic shock. It is brutal on the joints. Modern bows, however, they're equipped with some incredibly sophisticated dampening systems. They use carbon string stops to instantly halt the string, plus enhanced harmonic stabilizers built directly into the machined riser. These safely absorb and just completely dissipate that excess kinetic shock. So, after breaking down all of this advanced science, I want to leave you with a final provocative thought. Does the high-tech, engineered mechanical advantage of eccentric cams and carbon fiber represent the absolute pinnacle of archery? Or does true mastery actually lie in taming the raw, unassisted, linear physics of a traditional wooden stave, using nothing but raw human strength and instinct? It's a pretty fascinating balance between highly complex engineering and raw historic art. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and remember to keep questioning the science behind the incredible mechanics of the world around us. See you next time!